Hi, I am Jennifer.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrea.
And
we're not saints.
But we sure do want to be. That's our goal. We're just wannabes, Catholic
Wannabes.
wannabes. No, actually, we are
Well, now we're
newbies now.
Catholic.
We are. Welcome, everyone, to our very first We Are Not Saints. We're Not Saints podcast. Our first. You guys, we have been, actually, we're very, this has been a long making in the progress, right?
Yeah.
It's taken us a while, and
We've been
finally here.
studying. It's a little unconventional Bible study. So welcome.
Welcome.
We started our acting careers on Instagram
That's right.
and then went to Facebook. It's just huge, and now we're podcasting.
Yeah, we made it big. There's people on the other side of the wall here banging down the door wanting an autograph, but it's soundproof, so you can't hear it.
Yes, that's right.
And now we get to start off talking about what we've been researching all these weeks and months, and we get to actually talk about the saints
And share it with you. We're a little nervous.
Yes.
But we're mostly grateful, I think.
Right.
I'm grateful. We're to be finally sharing this space with you where faith meets real life and a little laughter, we hope, and a whole lot of grace, right?
Exactly.
Every way.
And it's fun and very interesting to start learning about saints because haven't been a Catholic for about a year and a half now. So I was Methodist before, so I really didn't know much about saints. You know, I just heard of some of the big ones, but now that we've been working on starting this podcast, I study saints, and they're all very interesting people.
Yeah.
So I
It's been an
think today
exciting
we're
journey.
doing Saint Maria Goretti.
Yes. Today we're starting with a saint whose story is truly heartbreaking, and yet so unbelievably powerful. Saint Maria Goretti, she was only 11 years old when she died. And she showed the world what true forgiveness looked like. And we'll go into her story soon and more deeply. But even in the face of violence and pain, she was able to forgive the man who took her life. And that's how forgiveness also changed him, which again, we'll talk about that all. But when we talk about forgiveness today, whether it's forgiving a friend, a family member, or even ourselves, right? Maria Goretti reminds us that forgiveness is not a weakness. It's strength, it's freedom, and it's the kind of love that can only come from God. It's freeing. So as we begin this journey today with all of you, and we invite you to open your hearts with us and to laugh, to learn, and maybe even see how saints still walk with us even today, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm excited.
Does anyone want to start with Maria's history?
Sure. Maria, as you know now, she was a young saint. She died when she was just 11. Her mother was kind of taking care of the family after the death of her father, and they lived and they worked on a farm.
Mm-hmm. But Maria was the one who stayed home while the rest of the family went and worked.
Yes. And Alessandro, who later in the story we learn more about, he was helping the family on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had a huge crush
he
on
did,
Maria.
but he was 20 and she was 11. So
and he wanted
not great.
he wanted her.
Yes, and he kept making advances towards her, which she was deeply faithful even at age 11, and it wasn't working. And he wrote in a letter before his death, he outlined just how hard he pursued her and how guilty he felt for that later on. But
and even how he planned to murder her.
Right.
It wasn't a spur of the moment thing.
If she refused him once again. But it was really important for the family that they had his help. And so his advances that ultimately led to her murder really crushed this entire family. One night when Maria was asleep, he came to her room and he once again tried to get her to have sex with him, and she refused, and she refused again, and then he took matters into his own hands, and he murdered her by stabbing her 14 times. The last 3 stabbings were what actually led to her death, because she was still alive, and she almost made it to the door, but he came back and he finished
What he started.
murdering her.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic, but Maria would rather refuse this act, which she knew was wrong by her faith, and die instead of giving in to him. And the tragedy that occurred then and after, Alessandro goes to prison. He wasn't of age at the time to serve life imprisonment. At that time in Italy, it was 21 was who was seen as an adult, but he did serve. Well, he was supposed to serve 30 years, so that's what his sentence. That's what he was sentenced. And then her mother, unable to keep up with the farm, lost everything. Lost her children, lost the farm itself. So the loss just kept on going and adding up.
And let's go back real quickly.
Yeah.
As she was in the hospital and dying, a priest asked her,
Who did
do you,
this?
do you want to forgive?
Oh, yeah.
And she
Her
did.
last word.
Her
Yeah.
last words
Right.
was, yes, I forgive Alessandro and I want him to spend eternity with me.
She named her murderer and forgave him all in that
And
last breath.
and all about
Yeah.
love.
Right.
Right.
And I know this saint in particular is a little controversial because of so many parts of this story. Him being 20 years old and doing this to an 11-year-old, for starters. Her choice to forgive him on her deathbed. I mean, I'm thinking of myself at 11, or think of yourself at 11 years old. To be able to wrap your head around what just happened. I mean, I know this is a different time period and everything, so, maybe lifespan wasn't that long, but your maturity level. So for her to think in that way and be able to forgive,
Well, her love for God was
Right.
just so strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
and then to act on it, not just say it, but she acted on that. But yes, she did end up forgiving him on her deathbed. And then the other point of controversy is that she would rather die than commit a sin, or to commit this particular sin. And I know that that's also caused issues, with people who might have heard this story and think to themselves, other victims of these sorts of crimes. And I know we want to keep things light and happy, but some of the topics that we discuss here are just not going to be as
They're
light
heavy.
and happy.
Exactly.
It's very heavy, and I wanted to just touch on that briefly. Of understanding, yes, there's controversy out there around this story, but it's not so much to judge those who aren't able to say no, or aren't willing to die instead of committing this sin or be a victim of this situation, because we never choose to be victims either, in any case, whether it's something in like this or something else. But the important thing that I think I wanted to gain from this story was that she did have a deep love of God, and her faith was that deep. Would I have been able to do what she did? I don't know. I'd be a little scared in the moment. I'd be like, I don't know what's happening. At 11 years old, you just have to try to put yourself in their shoes.
And was our faith that strong at 11?
Right. And was my faith that strong?
Right.
I mean,
Well, as a father of 2 girls, I don't know, maybe now, but when my girls were 11, had they been attacked and tried to be raped and murdered, I don't know that I could have forgiven the attacker.
right.
But
and that-
now, I feel now with my faith in the Catholic Church, I could. It's still not easy, in our lives. even with Jennifer and I and Andrea, we have stuff that's happened personally to all three of us that are nowhere near getting murdered and stabbed 14 times, but
We've had to work
we've
on
been-
forgiveness.
yes, and you have to sit with it. And we talk to Father Stephen, go to confession for that reason. We can talk about things, and he assures us that he wants us to pray for everybody. Everybody wants to be a saint. We would
Right.
like everybody to be a saint, but
We want everybody in eternity with us.
yeah.
Well, we want to be there too. I mean,
Yeah.
we hope.
We all want to be there.
Yeah.
And
So that's why it's important to forgive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So important. I think that's why we chose her as our first saint, because
Yeah.
forgiveness is such a
Forgiveness.
big part of our world that we need to forgive.
And it makes the forgiveness I need to give minute compared to what she did.
Right.
Right. And it's a measurement in my eyes of how far along am I in my faith journey. So I guess I'm not Maria Goretti,
But she's getting there.
right, you can relate as much as we can to these saints, but sometimes we're going to have those roadblocks where it's like, can I forgive to the extent that she was able to forgive? Can I believe to the extent that she was able to believe in that moment when you're faced with life or death? I don't know if I'm there yet.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
We're
But,
all getting there.
We're not saints, but
But we want to be.
we're trying. But the second act of forgiveness that I saw throughout this story was forgiving himself and seeing Maria. So while Alessandro, so he's sent to prison, the mother loses everything. Her husband has already died. Maria's father, her husband already died, and so that's what put them in that position to rely on Alessandro in the first place. He was a laborer and he worked on farms. So he's now in prison for the murder of Maria Goretti. He doesn't know that she forgave him on her deathbed, but he has a vision of her in his cell. And
A dream.
Well,
It's a dream.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or a
okay.
vision. Dream, vision. Okay.
So she appears and she lets him know that she's forgiven him. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm tripping.
Well, and
But-
she gives him 14 lilies. And each time she gives him the lily, she smiles. And he feels this because she had 14 stab wounds, tying the lilies with the stab. And then as he gets the whole bundle,
Yeah.
his arms just turned into flames and burned. And he realized he felt the forgiveness.
Yeah. And that act of forgiveness then saves him, and he starts leading a life of faith. He starts leaning more into his own journey, and
Yeah.
he ends up converting others as well along the way.
And he goes to the mom.
Right.
To ask for
Now,
forgiveness.
this is when he's released. Now, he's released after just
Yes.
27 of the 30 years. Everybody in prison at the time was given 1 year off because of the war ending. I read that. And then
Another fact we might have to
might
look up.
fact check. But then he shaved off 2 more years on good behavior, and he was spreading all of this knowledge about his newfound faith, and it was because Maria forgave him in that vision dream. And the lilies, I've totally forgot about the lilies, but he's on a new path now. And then once he's released, then there's this third act of forgiveness where Maria's mother ends up forgiving him. So he comes to her on the night of Christmas and he's begging for forgiveness from Maria's mother. And she says, it's all good. If Maria can forgive you on her deathbed, which now he learns that she actually did, he confirms that she did forgive him on her deathbed. If my daughter can forgive you, so can I. And that changes him. And she takes it a step further, and this doesn't happen with all forgiveness or all acts of forgiveness. She takes it further and she decides to reconcile the relationship. She adopts Alessandro, and when Maria, even so going beyond this moment on Christmas night, when Maria gets canonized, her mother was the first mother to be in attendance at
Her
daughter's canonization. And Alessandro, her murderer, was there too. I'm sure that was a first too. I hope it was. But, you know, that was huge as well.
Huge.
And another, I know we're not supposed to compare ourselves to others. We're all on our own journey and all that. I know we all say it, but do we all believe it? I'm still working through it. I'm now, as a mom, and you're a mom and you're a dad, can you imagine adopting one of your children's murderers and someone who murdered them in that way?
I can,
Okay.
but I can as a 63-year-old woman.
Right. 32 years old. Gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So they attend her canonization together. She adopts him before that, but he died. Alessandro died in the 70s. I'm trying to find
And he becomes canonized.
her.
He becomes a saint.
No, he didn't.
I thought he did.
It was rumored that he might, but he
Okay.
hasn't yet. So
Okay.
saved you a fact check there. But speaking of mothers and how each of these people were raised, so Maria is raised by a deeply faithful family. Alessandro comes from his mother dying after she had given birth in a psychiatric ward. His father was an alcoholic. His brother committed suicide. And then you have Alessandro at 20 years old. Okay. So not coming from a really well stacked deck of cards here, but when he was questioned about the murder after being convicted and everything,
Right.
I mean, he said, yeah, I was messed up. I did this. But he knew he was of sane mind. He didn't fall back on, oh, well, my mother was crazy and so am I, or whatever. And maybe that's a bad way of saying it. I'm sorry. I'm not a saint. But, you know, looking at their paths, and this happens all the time in the world, I think we're more divided by these differences than our physical differences, like race or gender. We're more divided by our economic standing and our backgrounds and how we're raised than we are by anything else. And that's just my opinion. I don't think it's like everybody needs to believe that. But when those two worlds cross paths and you get this conflict, there's choices. You know, you could do as Maria's mother did and choose to forgive them. I don't know how much she took into account of his history and that he was raised in with such an ugly background.
Right.
But I just think it's worth noting where he came from and where Maria comes from and how those two worlds just like totally crashed and burned because he just didn't have, I'm not making excuses for him at all. I think it's so terrible what he did, but he didn't have all of the resources, all the tools. He was working with more than half empty tool belt there.
Yes, he was.
He wasn't given that faith.
No.
And
Or sense of family or sense of belonging or sense of anything, right?
yeah. And he's just floating out there in the world. He's working and he's relying on his looks and his sexuality for things. And it makes sense why he thinks like that.
Exactly.
Because of where he's come from. And yeah, I just think it's hard. I just keep thinking, would I be able to forgive this person even with that information? And I talked a little bit about measuring my journey versus some of these other characters in this story. Or not characters, they're real people, but I just am not there yet.
But that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we're learning every day stuff. We just are trying the best we can, right? Any wise words there?
Probably not too many wise words.
So the 3 parts of forgiveness,
Right.
which actually ties into your new book, Finding Love in the Confessional, available on Amazon. I'm sorry. Why am I always doing the commercial
I
break?
like it. It works for me.
So while wrapping my head around how not far along I am in the forgiveness journey and applying that to my faith, I'm able to forgive. I'm just saying, in these, when it's such a deep wound, that's where it gets really tricky. But while doing the research for Maria Goretti, I came across a few really helpful tips and videos and further research about forgiveness when it comes to our faith. And there's forgiveness, and that's step one, where you take into account of what's been done to you, recognize the loss and the pain and hurt and the continued loss that it might mean for you. For Maria's mother, it meant losing all of her children. She couldn't support the farm anymore. She lost the farm. So now she's childless. One is gone forever. The others had to go make it on their own. She ends up adopting Alessandro later, so she gains a son. But she has to take into account all of these losses, and it's not just loss in that one instant moment. It's going to be forever for her and beyond what's been done. Once you take into account what's been done to you and what you've lost, then you decide to forgive with that taken into account. Then you have the second step, which is reconciliation. You can choose to give that person a second chance, which Maria's mother does, and adopts Alessandro when he's freed. But you don't have to give them a second chance, but you must forgive. This is what we're told all the time. You forgive. You don't have to forget, but you got to forgive. And you have to be okay with seeing your enemies in heaven one day, which I can get there, I think. And then the third part of forgiveness is restoration of the relationship. So you've decided to give them a second chance, and you're then going to take it a step further and restore the relationship. And I think it's really important to know those three things about forgiveness.
Although I don't believe in that.
Oh, boy.
So,
Are you at least on the step of forgiveness?
of course.
Okay.
You forgive, but you forgive and let them go and enjoy their beautiful lives.
They
But they don't need to sit at my table.
You don't have to
Right.
invite them into your home
don't,
again.
no.
You can just
Forgive.
forgive them
And truly mean
recognize
it.
it.
That's
Yeah.
the key. Is I remember starting when I was your age, working on forgiveness of someone in particular, and I think I've forgiven her. I am good. I've forgiven her, and then boom, I saw her, and all that yuckiness came back up. Okay, God, I didn't forgive her. I got to work on forgiveness. I got to keep working on it.
Yeah.
So now I know. To me, again, the wiser. You work on forgiveness daily. But it's when you're no longer triggered by the event that needed the forgiveness. Then I know I've truly forgiven.
Yeah.
That's me. And there are other things. I mean, we forgive each other daily. We forgive each other daily,
yeah.
and we want to sit at each other's table and grow together. And life is hard. I mean, we all know that, right? And we're all sinners, so we're going to have to forgive. But sometimes the deep forgiveness, where I think Maria's mother really stood up, I cannot say. Maybe if he came with open arms and you could feel the forgiveness and the love. I mean, what she did was really powerful.
Right.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
that's a forgiveness that her daughter was murdered by this man, and she truly had him at her table again. So that's pretty impressive.
Right. And the important thing is whether or not you can do all three of those things, the forgiveness, reconciliation, and the restoration of the relationship. Whether or not you can, these three things are all of what we receive in the confessional.
Amen.
And your book, Finding Love in the Confessional, I know going to confession was such a powerful thing for you. So that's why I wanted to tie it in with
Although
that.
it took me 50 years to get there.
Yeah, might take a little bit of time. So it's something to be said. It's something that you can find in the confessional. All three things happen at once when you step in there and you're willing to offer up your sins and admit and repent, and you do all of those things. God will forgive, he'll reconcile with you, and he'll restore that relationship with you, all in one in the confessional. And I know it's uncomfortable, but it was probably also uncomfortable for the rest of Alessandro's life to do that. Every day he probably thought about Maria
Right.
and what he had done. And to be offered forgiveness from God is an amazing thing and something that you can also rely on for reconciliation and restoration. But then to be offered it by the mother of the person that you've just murdered is extremely powerful. But it doesn't always happen. I mean, we're saying, once you out, you're out. But it's important to try to get there. I think I'll keep trying to get there. And I just wanted to share this little passage from Luke 23:34. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And that one's more well known. As we go on, I'm sure I'll find more verses that are a little less well known. But forgive them, they know not what they do. Sometimes they do know what they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's that free will that God gave man is free will.
Yeah.
That's why we do sin. We sin all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the way we are.
And through this story, I think is a massive sign of hope that whether you're whichever side you're on, whether you're relating more to the victim in this story or to the mother in the story or Alessandro, you've done something so horrible and you just want to be forgiven for it. I think there's hope for all three of those parties, that if you feel hopeless, it's not the end of the road for you, because forgiveness exists, free will exists, and you don't have to sit in that pain forever.
Right.
It might still always be there, but there's hope. And the fact that there's hope for Alessandro, that it's even being kicked around, that he could become a saint. If you think that you've gone so far that there's no way back for you, and no matter if I'm faithful or not, going to church or not, it doesn't matter. God's done with me. Clearly, God wasn't done with him. And the impact that he had after, becoming a murderer, he was still able to convert people. He was able to be forgiven.
Yeah.
He was able to be a son again to a mother.
That's correct.
So hopefully you find hope in this story.
That's our plan. Hopefully you all did too. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you'll meet us here each week as we keep unfolding and learning the lives of the saints, not as distant, perfect people, but as ordinary men and women who loved an extraordinary God.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's really what this is all about. It's all about remembering that we all have God's love in us, and if we can just share it with all of you. I think that's our goal, is just finding beauty in everyday life and
relating the saints' lives to our own.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So come walk with us, laugh with us, and
Today
learn
was a
with
little
us.
heavier.
Yeah, today is heavier.
We're starting off on a heavy foot.
And then it'll go light from there on.
Yeah, it'll be lighter and brighter.
right.
But forgiveness is a great thing to discuss. We all need to forgive a little bit.
We'll
It's
try
important.
to forgive you.
Yeah. I'm going to forgive myself.
That's a good one. But together we'll discover that we are truly not saints yet, but we're on our way. That's our
Yes.
goal.
Thank you.
Thank you. See
You got to
next
say
week.
thank you. We all said thank you.
Oh.
Come on, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of We're Not Saints. For more of the We're Not Saints shenanigans and behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at We're Not Saints 1. That's We're Not Saints 1, without the apostrophe. And be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear from you. So leave us a comment or a review, or contact us by email at we'renotsaints1@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to have a great companion to your weekly saint studies with us, you can purchase a copy of my books. Are You There, Mary? How to Resurrect in Love After Loss, or Finding Love in the Confessional on Amazon, available as a Kindle version or paperback.
All these links will be provided in the description of this episode. And don't forget to tune in next Wednesday for our weekly dose of saints. God bless you.
Should you read it again with more intonation?
No.
It was very Mike.